One of the most significant yet little-known periods in baseball history is the era of the Negro Leagues. We're honored to have two guests who were very knowledgeable on the subject, the grandson of Hall of Fame catcher Josh Gibson, Sean Gibson, and Kadir Nelson, the author and illustrator of We Are the Ship, the story of Negro League baseball. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us now.
Thanks for having us.
Sean, let me start with you. Your grandfather is often referred to as the Black Babe Ruth for hitting tape measure shots. How great of a player was he in the Negro Leagues?
Well, he was a great player, but let me just correct you one thing. Babe Ruth was the white Josh Gibson. That's what we say here in Pittsburgh.
Wow, okay, all right.
But, you know, there's great stories about Josh Gibson, of course, and the other great Negro League baseball players. Josh had a great career with the Homestead Grays and the Pittsburgh Crawfords. Was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1972. And, you know, he's still considered one of the greatest home run hitters. Josh Gibson hit almost 800 home runs in the states that on his Hall of Fame plaque. And, you know, the book is great, and, you know, finally something is coming out great about the Negro League baseball players to tell the story about all the players in the great league that they played in.
Kadir, what kind of influence did Josh Gibson have on the game?
I think he had a tremendous impact. He was one of the greatest hitters. He and Satchel Paige were the probably the most famous pitchers and batters that come out of the leagues, but they were great because they played against other great athletes, other great baseball players.
Sean, your grandfather died 3 months before Jackie Robinson made his historic Major League debut with the Brooklyn Dodgers. How important was it for him to see an African-American player in the major leagues in his lifetime?
Well, I thought it would be very important for him to see it. As you mentioned, Josh did die before Jackie Robinson crossed the color barrier, but I think it would have been very important. You know, Jackie Robinson was one of the great baseball players who came through the Negro League as well, and there was also other great baseball players besides Josh Gibson and Jackie Robinson. You had Satchel Paige and Cool Papa Bell, Buck Leonard, and other great players. But, you know, Josh, he had a great career, and it would have been great to see someone cross the color barrier as this time to watch them cross over. But I'm pretty sure he was watching down and saw that Jackie did a great thing, and he carried the torch.
Kadir, as Sean mentioned, the Negro Leagues produced phenomenal talent. Roy Campanella, Hank Aaron, Larry Doby, the list goes on. How significant was the experience in making them stars?
Well, you know, I think it was, like I said, you know, you had a lot of great talent in the Negro Leagues. It was a great pool for the major leagues to draw from, and I was really inspired to learn more about it while I was in college. I was commissioned to do a painting on the subject, and after hearing Buck O'Neil, the great manager and player from the Negro Leagues, share his story about his experience on the Ken Burns documentary Baseball, I was inspired to create one painting, and that painting grew into over 40 paintings. So it's something that I think really has stayed with me, and I don't think I'm finished yet. I have more paintings to do, but I'm just really honored and happy to have the opportunity to share the history of the Negro Leagues with this new book.
Sean, what's your best Josh Gibson story? We've heard so many stories about him just being this incredible man who would hit titanic shots. Do you have any stories that you've heard maybe second, third hand, or just from other relatives about the kind of person that Josh Gibson was?
Well, you know, you hear a lot of the great stories about my grandfather, mainly of the home run records and the home runs he hit. You know, you hear stories about him hitting the ball at Yankee Stadium, the house that Babe Ruth built. You also hear stories about one time when they had a game in Pittsburgh and Josh hit a ball into the night, and the next day the team was playing in Philadelphia and the ball came out of the sky and the guy caught the ball and the umpire called him out from yesterday's game in Pittsburgh. So you hear a lot of great stories about the Negro League players. You hear about Cool Papa Bell being so fast when you turn the lights out, he gets into bed before it gets dark. So these are fascinating stories about these players, and the book that Kadir has written tells you all the great stories about these players. And the illustration in the book is very phenomenal. He did a great job with the illustrations of the book. Josh is on the cover of the book. So, you know, the story is great. You hear a lot of great stories, and, you know, it's a great story to be told.
Kadir, what do you hope people learn about this significant part of baseball history?
I think, I mean, I was most inspired about the Negro League story itself. Here you have a group of talented players and athletes who were confronted with a ban from playing in Major League Baseball, but rather than quit, they decided to create their own grand stage. It's a great story of following your dreams on your own terms and not compromising on those dreams. And I hope that readers of all ages will be able to will be inspired by it and learn from it.
It's definitely a great message for everyone. Sean Gibson, Kadir Nelson, thanks for joining us here on The Pulse. The book is called We Are the Ship, the story of Negro League Baseball. Gentlemen, thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Coming up, the last team to beat Notre Dame at home is Marquette, the team they happen to play today. Who's winning the matchup of top 25 teams? You got to stick around for the answer next.